Yeah, hello everyone. This is Anil. This is my first video on XPath. XPath are being used by Selenium tester while locating an element on web UI uniquely, and they are very mandatorily being used by testers whenever they wanted to find out an element. It is not being located by some traditional web locators like ID, class name, uh, link text, parser link text, and one of those methods is also XPath. So in this video we are going to discuss about XPath only, because if we can master XPath, then we can find out any elements uniquely and perfectly with no time. So just to start with the basics of XPath, what are XPath? So in our automation, we have to identify the web elements on a web page. So basically, a web page, by the help of browser, it is being converted into a dome-like structure. That is the XML kind of tree structure that we will discuss after 1 or 2 minutes. And so the web page is being converted into XML, and wherein we have to identify those elements. So those all elements on a web page are related to each other somehow by some methods or some by other techniques or mechanism that we also gonna discuss. One of the important thing about XPath is that why do we use XPath wherever there are any web elements which are dynamically getting changed. So we are not able to find out those elements by traditional locators, so we have to go with the XPath. So to uniquely identify those elements and to have a robust XPath that are not going to change no matter what's going to change on the element. So what are XPath? So to discuss with that, let's search on Google. So we are going to first search for the XML tree, because a web document or web page is converted into an XML document, and that XML document has all the elements in a tree-like structure. So what that tree-like structure is? Sorry, it's XML. So let's say we select this one. Okay, this one. So you see, this is the kind of a tree structure being formed in the XML document. There would be a root element, or we can say there would be a root node. Under that there would be a child, and a child can also have further childs, and those childs can have further more childs, right? And here they have also mentioned the root element is company, right? And this root element has underneath the employee, that is child of this company, and then that employee can have further childs, name, age, email, and addresses, right? So these are the child elements. They can also have subsite elements, like I mentioned, city, state, pin, landmark for this address. So similarly, in the web automation, we have to find out. Let's say we wanted to find out this state element, right? So the one way is that we start with the root element or root node in the document. That we will first go to company, then employee, then address, and then city. But they are not robust, right? And the reason being for not being robust is that if any of the elements get changed, let's say employee or address gets changed, we are not going to find out city, right? It may become orphan in our XPath. It will have no linkage. We will not able to find out. So we have to find out this city related to some other elements. That, we can find out that element related to this state, or we can find out this city element related to this email, age, name, or only with this employee. We are going to not start with employee, or we can just find out this city element with this address. We are not going to start with this root element, child, company, and employee. We are just gonna find out this element, and then we are going to this element. Even if they are getting changed, our locator will not going to be impacted by that, right? So this is the basic structure of an XML document. So just to give more insight on that, all these are siblings, right? Name, age, email, address for this parent, employee. because they share a common parent, employee, right? Also, this element have a parent, employee, and this element name have ancestors also. Their ancestors are employee and company, its parents, its grandparent, right? Also for this one, what all are ancestors for this element? Its parent, parent of its parent, and parent of its grandparent. This one, right? This is a structure. Okay, and so as you can see that there are some axes here. This is a single axis, this is the another axis, this is the another axis. So we can find out this element corresponding to some other axis. So in XPath we have been given some XPath axis methods. With the help of that, we can navigate through this element to this element, this element to this element, or we can even traverse back. We can come to email, then go to employee, then go to address, then city, then we can come to state, and then we can go to address. By using one of those axes, we can travel to that element. We will discuss that practically. Okay, you can just do Google and just find out the tree structure of an XML document. So for this tutorial purpose, we are going to have one website, wordpress.org. So you can pick up anyone. This is just for the simplest when I got to know. We can start with that. So to find out an element, we are going to inspect the web page. So just right click on inspect. Okay. Alternatively, you can also click F12. The same window will open up. Okay, so as I mentioned that this is a root element, HTML and HTML, and there are two child nodes, head and body, right? But this head also have subchilds or childs, this meta, title, meta, link, and all those things, right? The second body also have some other elements, other child elements like div, which have ID like this and this, class, language, feature. Okay, so to start with our demo, let us find out or inspect a particular element. So let's say I am going to inspect password. Okay, so to find an element, we are going to use Ctrl F in this window, and then we are going to type in /. Okay, so with that, we are going to provide the tag name. So for the tag name for this element is input. As soon as I enter input, it is able to find out that there are 7 nodes in this web page having input tag, but we wanted to find out it uniquely. But how can we click on this element if there are 7 elements? So we have to provide more information about that element. So we see that this input element have type text, name is equal to log, ID is equal to user login, and some other details. So let's say I provide the ID. Okay, so type in. The attribute is being typed like @ID equals in single quotes user underscore login, and yay, we are able to find out the single node. That's it. But this is the simplest example where we are having ID, name, type, and other parameters, other attributes of this node. But the purpose of the tutorial is whenever we are not having these all attributes and still we wanted to find out this element, because we wanted to click here on the password field. So we need to find out this element related to some other elements, right? And as I discussed earlier on the XML tree structure, you can also see here that this input element and this label element, these are the siblings, right? And these both are child of this parent class having of this element having tag name P and the class login username, right? This is a second child. So we are here on this login username, this side and here, right? We are able to, this is also getting highlighted here, here. Okay, so if in the XPath if we wanted to just use this element only, so we can also type in 1/ and dot, right? So this is a way to locate the element itself. Now as I mentioned that we can identify this element related to some other elements. So we have been provided 30 type of XPath axes. So what are those all? Just Google on Mozilla site. So here you can see that there are 13 different axes in the XPath specification. An axis represents a relationship to the context node and is used to locate nodes relative to that node to the tree. Just focus on this statement. And is used to locate nodes related to that node on the tree, right? So what is the context node, or we can say the root node? So in our example, this user login is a root node now. If you want to traverse backward or forward, we are going to consider this as a root node, right? If you wanted to go to this, there is a different axis name. If you wanted to go below to that, there is different axis name. So this is a root node from where we wanted to go some other nodes, right? So these are the 13 XPath axes, like ancestor, ancestor self, attribute, child, descendant, descendant or self, following, following sibling, namespace, this is not spotted, parent, preceding, preceding sibling, and self. We all need to identify all these things only. So one of the axes I just discussed. Just identify the element like this, // the tag name of the element, and within that we can provide the any attribute, not only this ID, you can also provide the name. Let's say I provide name equals, its name is log, right? I say log, and boom, we are able to find out the same element, right? So this to identify itself, I have just provided this dot, 1/ and dot. The same is written here, indicates the context node itself. It can be abbreviated as a single dot like this. Now I have just noted down the possible combinations of finding XPath using these XPath axis methods. Okay, so as I mentioned, the root node, the context node. If you want to identify the self node, just use this method. Now the XML tree structure is just like a folder structure. Like you have child, then parent, then other parents, the child of child, siblings, right? So if you wanted to go one step up, or one step up means you wanted to go to the parent, just use one more dot, and boom. What was the parent of this this node? This one, right? Class name. These are the two child of this P class. These are the siblings. So boom, we are able to find out this parent of this child element. Only one element is there, so we are able to find it uniquely. If you use this XPath in our Selenium script, we are able to find out this, and we can just proceed with a function on this password field, right? Okay, so there are two types of XPath: the absolute XPath and the relative XPath. So the difference in that is that the absolute XPath actually starts from the root node. So if we have to identify this element, so we have to first identify the root node, HTML, then we go to this and this, right? And then we have to traverse back to here. But in this XPath, as we have constructed, we are not even starting with this login form, not even with this P class. But absolute XPath starts with the root node, so it should have started from the head, but it's not started right here. We have used // that means any node available in the document, right? So there are 36 nodes. You can start with any node. right? And so okay, so let me first find out its absolute XPath. So we can just right click on here and copy its XPath. Let's see what it is. Okay, this is not an absolute. They are able to find out. Is there a way to find out the complete absolute XPath? Okay, I think this will work. Copy full XPath. Yeah, see, this is somehow they have started with this single slash, right? The absolute XPath with this root node HTML, then body, then div1. Let me just open up. The HTML, then the body. Then in the body they have selected some. There are two divs. Div1, right? And then the form. Okay, this form. And this form have 2p, more than one p tag, so they have selected the first p and this. So this is how they have constructed using absolute XPath. But here we are using double slash, that we are starting not from the root node, but we are starting from a relative node, and that relative node is this one, this, right? This node. Okay, so moving ahead, so we have discussed single slash and forward slash, single slash and double forward slash. So the one advantage of double forward slash or the relative XPath or the relative XPath is that if any nodes get changed in between here from the root node up to this node, our XPath is not going to get changed because we have just started from here only. There is no reference of all these parent nodes. This is one of the big advantages of using relative XPath, because this is robust. Even if these things get changed, they are not going to impact it. But as we see in the absolute XPath, we are using these nodes. If anything gets changed in the page structure, our XPath will also get changed. So it's better to use the absolute XPath compared to the relative XPath. Is that right? No, it's reverse. We have to use the relative XPath compared to the absolute XPath. Okay. So as we discussed, there are 13 XPath axes. We have discussed this one also. Now, okay. So now we are here, and if you wanted to go back to this node, how we will go there? Or if you wanted to go from this node to this node, how we are going to do that? So let's say this is a syntax of using XPath axis is use that name double colon, and then whether if you wanted to find out all those elements, or if you want to find a specific tag name, or if there are more than one tag name having the same if there are more than one element having the same tag name, so we can use also the predicates. We will discuss about predicates, what these two means. Okay, so let's say I wanted to go back to this element. How do I find out? This is before this element, right? So there is a axis known as preceding sibling. This is a sibling, right? They both are the siblings of this parent. So this is the preceding sibling. This is the this user login is before this. So this is preceding sibling. We are using this preceding sibling double colon. So also we have to find out, if you want to find out all preceding siblings of this root node, we are going to use star, and boom, yes, we are able to find out this user login, right? If there were more than one siblings before this, let's say there were also one more label, but we wanted to find out this only. So here we will go with this. Okay, we wanted to find out having the sibling with tag name label first one. If there would have been two more siblings here, we want to select this one only, so we will use the the predicates. This is the number we are entering here. That means select the first one. Go back from this child element and find out this label tag, but select only the first one. If there are more than one siblings having the same tag name label. Okay. So this is the preceding sibling example. This one I just mentioned, right? Also, if we don't want to go just to sibling, but we wanted to go before it, not sibling, but just I want to traverse backwards, but not its sibling. How are we going to do that? This. So this is find out all the elements from this root element. Any elements preceding before, that means before this root element with any nodes. We are not specifying any tag name here of any nodes before this this password node. So it gonna find out all those preceding nodes. So as of now there are 33 nodes, right? These all nodes. You see, if you go here, it will find out all those nodes and then it will come back to that node. Right? This is the last. We are on 33rd, so this is the last one. See, we started from this, we went to this, we went to the root node, and then we come back to here. Okay, so if you wanted to find out any specific preceding element, but not just sibling, any nodes before it, so we are going to use that. So now if let's say okay, so now let's say I wanted to use this title. So what I would do, I would just go there and select a title node. Okay, yeah, it's able to find out this title. If there would have been more than one title, it may be possible, right? So we would again use the predicates. You can use predicates. Let's say one, find out the first one, second one. Okay, so this is covered, this is covered. Now we are coming to the parent. So for this node, what is the parent? This is the node we were checking out, this name log. So what is its parent? So there is a parent axis also that says name parent double column star. Its parent is login, username, this class, this attribute, right? Or there is also one way which we discuss. Just use single / that means the immediate node. Using this thing, using double dots, one / and then double dots, we are able to go to the directory, right? Okay, now if you talk about ancestors, so what all are ancestors of this node? Use / double / ancestors, all ancestors of this node. So there are 5 ancestors of this node, and we can find it out. First ancestor is the root node, second one is body, third is this div login, fourth is this phone, and the fifth one is itself, right? So this is how we can find out the ancestors of this node. We can also find out manually. Let's see if we can find out. Yeah, so for this this node, what all are the ancestors? First of all, this P class, right? And it would be this login form, second, this third div ID, fourth class, fifth head. Okay. The another method is following. So come back to the root node. Now if you wanted to select the following, that means you wanted to go forward direction. We want to go from this node to this node, let's say. So we will use forward slash, that is select any nodes related to this root node. So that is why we use the word relative, because we wanted to go related to this node to any other nodes. So this is relative XPath, relative to this node, Okay, then we use following. So there are two nodes that get followed by this node. See, the first one is this one, then second one is this, then this, right? Like this one, label, then input type, password. But we don't want to go all the nodes, we want to go to a specific node. So we can restrict our search. Let's say I wanted to go this label for user path. So I will say, okay, go here, then select a label. Okay, now see, there are three labels being displayed. This is not uniquely. If you go there another label, there is another label, but I wanted to select this label only. So I would use predicates. In square braces, I will use the 1. So boom, we are able to find it uniquely. This is the benefit of using following, right? Now if I wanted to select the following siblings, so there may be more than 2 siblings also, right? So let's say we select this, first we select this this element. So its following sibling would be this one, right? Following sibling means next sibling. Preceding sibling means for this element its preceding sibling would be this one. Very simple. So first we find out this one, user login. So it have an attribute name 4, and its tag name is not info, it's label. So boom, we are able to find out this. So if from this element we wanted to go out this element, so we are going to use double forward slash, select any elements from this element which have which is its following sibling. If I use star, it would say 1 only, because after this label 4 there is only one sibling, input type having text, right? But if there were more siblings, but I want to select the first one only. If there were more than one input siblings, but I want to select this one input, so I think you can guess it now, right? We are going to use predicates and use the first one only, not like this. You have to provide the tag name, its input, and boom, there is only one element. We are able to find out uniquely, right? So this is a following sibling example. Yeah, there is okay, in predicates also we can use multiple methods. Let's say there are more than one child elements of this class, and many times we come to this problem while automating our browser applications, that we have to select the last element. So this is the classic example of elements getting changed dynamically. So let's say for this class element, sometimes there are 20 child elements, sometimes there are 15 elements, sometimes there are 25 elements, but we always wanted to select the last one. Let's say our these tags are being sorted alphabetically, and we wanted to select only the last one. So how do we do that? It's dynamically getting changed, so we are going to use a method known as, okay, select the last one, but use the second last one. But as we see here, we so we are on user login, following sibling input. 1 second, because this is the only last one, there is no more. This is the only last one, we cannot find out its second last, right? So this is the last. So if the problem would have been that there are 3 child elements, let me find out some other. If you can have more than 2 childs for any level, Okay, yeah, see, I think we can use this one just to give it how we can use XPath for dynamically changing elements. So this has got an ID of language speech or something. Use this one. This is ID. This is a select tag. Let's see if we are able to find it out. Yes, this is one element. Let me do Ctrl J. So here we are going to see following sibling, but the tag name is option. Option, right? And see, we are going to select the last one. We are able to see the last one only. There are multiple child nodes over here, right? For this context node, right? And if you wanted to use the second last, just use -1, and you can see here these are the last one, but we are able to see select the second last, third last, fourth last, right? There is no such method of first and last, right? If you wanted to use fifth one, boom, come here, first, second, third, fourth, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. What is this? Why we are not able to find out the fifth one? Locale following sibling, option number 5. First one is this, second is this, third is this, fourth is okay. See, since we are selecting the second one only, but there are multiple nodes having the same tag option. So if you want to come to a specific node, you can also use internally here similar approach like this, providing this tag name also. Let's say if I want to use the value args, I can provide here also @value equals args arg. So here also this is how also we can find out this element, right? Okay, and the other thing is the descendant and child. So descendants are things like, okay, let's go back to our previous example. Let me do Ctrl Z. Okay, I think we are able to, yeah, here. So descendants means all the child elements and their child elements. Okay, so if I'm gonna find out the descendants of this login username, we are here on user login, that is this element, right? But I wanted to find out the descendants of this only. Okay, not this. We will use this one. This is the parent, this that have 5 childs, 1 2 3 4 and 5, and these childs have further child element, right? So the descendant would be all. So we are going to use this login form. This is having ID, right? And this tag name is form, right? We are able to find out. Let me see. Yes, we are able to find out this parent which has got 5 child elements, and we are going to use the method descendants if we want to select any of the descendant. This has got 13 descendants, right? So first, you see, the first one is this one. If I go back, the second one would be the child of this child label. The third would be this one. Fourth would be the second child login password, this one. The fifth would be the child of this login password, right? The sixth would be this one. And this is how it gonna traverse to the tree, the XML tree, and we have to go to the descendants. So here the purpose of this axis is that if you wanted to go to a specific descendant, let's say I wanted to go to this descendant having ID this, so I will just say go to input and which have id equals this, and boom, we are able to find out this. So we have very smartly identified this element using this root node, and we have constructed a very beautiful relative XPath to find out this element, which is relative to this, not related to these all elements, like that happens in absolute XPath. We are able to find out this descendant node related to this node, login form, this one, right? This to this, right? Even if they get changed, this is not going to impact it. There would be one descendant, there should be one descendant that have this input tag, this ID, and we would be able to find it out, no matter if there is something changed here and something gets changed above this login form. So this is how we use the dynamic XPath. One of the benefits of using that, right? The second one is child. So yeah, I think we have discussed it, but let's see if we wanted to discuss it again. If we wanted to find out all childs of this node login form, the child would be this form, this login username. The second would be, it's for the child, right? That means any child from this login form, this all are childs, right? And if you wanted to restrict to someone, so we can again use predicates. Okay, I think we have discussed all those things. So that's it, guys. So yeah, like I started with constructing XPath only. So the prerequisite for this video was that you should be having knowledge of basic knowledge of Selenium WebDriver, at least, that how we find out the how we locate the elements on the web page, and what are all the methods of finding out that that web element using the available locators in Selenium API, right? So that's it. Thank you. Bye bye.